Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Outlawed Thoughts. I gotta get used to using these intro videos. How's everybody's night doing? We're doing a solo stream to begin with. Everybody else is on their way as we speak. I know Kareem will be joining us, and I believe Josh will be here unless he is already asleep. But it is a late night stream, of course. Wanted to do something at a different time. Didn't really work out, is what it is. I think I got this microphone dialed in just right, so hopefully audio is nice and crisp tonight. We're live over on YouTube and Twitter, as per usual. I am working on getting everything cross-posted over onto Odyssey, and I'm going to explain why briefly here. The last episode, episode 24, was removed from YouTube. This is the reasoning for the sequel being the name of this episode. This is episode 24 again. The reason I'm doing it this way is because right now the only place I am storing these episodes is on YouTube. That's a problem for me, obviously. I need to figure out a remedy for this. I'm looking into solutions as to that, but it's going to take a few weeks. So for now, I'm going to re-record. Obviously, this is the 24th episode. There is a copy, I believe, of that 24th episode, the original one, that I will be uploading to Odyssey when I do eventually move the episodes over there. So the episodes will be going up on Odyssey. It will survive, and when it does, maybe I'll switch around the numbers or something. But it is what it is. Just got home perfect. Awesome. Yeah, so that's the situation there. Just pretty much hopped in the shower and came out and decided we're going to do the show. So, yeah, we're going to jump into it. Kareem will be here shortly. Hello, Shannon. So we have a bunch of different news videos and shows, things to go through tonight. I didn't put a ton to the side. I figured we'll keep this one about an hour anyway. So I've got the Liz Cheney race, obviously. I want to talk a little bit briefly about Florida, my move and everything, because I can talk a little more publicly about it. I have went ahead and informed my employer, one of them, that I will be soon moving, most likely by the end of this winter. I haven't decided exactly how that's going to happen, whether more than just me and my family will be moving, or exactly how that's going to go down. So I want to talk a little bit about that tonight. I'll probably wait until I have somebody else here to bounce things off of. If anybody in the chat wants to join in on the show, because we're low on people, obviously, say something in the chat. I can shoot you an invitation. I was going to try to line up guests for tonight, but it just didn't work out. My scheduling has been wonky. I'm about to move, so there's going to be new studios kind of set up for the meantime for a couple months. So that's a whole thing, obviously. We'll probably only have maybe 2 more streams of Outlawed Thoughts from this actual setup here. Although, of course, I'm taking all the mics and stuff with me. One thing I'd like to kind of announce, I said this on Twitter, but I forgot to say something on here, was that I purchased the URL and everything behind Outlawed Thoughts. This was a bit of a hassle because Outlawed Thoughts was previously tied up to another thing, but I ended up getting the domain. So outlawedthoughts.com right now, which actually I can show you guys this live, which is kind of cool. I can go to outlawedthoughts.com and I will show you right now how that reroutes, which is interesting. Right now I've got this. Should be able to do it from right here. Boom. So there's Outlawed Thoughts up top. And that will take us back to the YouTube channel. So right now, that's how that's working. It just reroutes to the YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to find anything here, they can just go outlawedthoughts.com. But that is not what it is going to be. That is something I've been keeping a little more tight in my chest. And I knew eventually this is what I was going to do with kind of building out what I see as the future of the liberty movement, which is a lot of individuals doing stuff like this. But I'm going to create a website which will be called outlawedthoughts.com. It's going to consist of some editorial pieces, news stories from people in the liberty movement. This is not just libertarians. This is people completely outside of the LP, completely outside of politics entirely. There are a lot of people who hate politics that I think have some great things that we can learn from. So news stories, publications on things about the liberty movement, things happening in the world. And maybe not on a news publication scale, more so on an opinion-based examination of the world. Put it that way. But the other thing that I want this to be a kind of home for is a secondary project I've been working on, which I don't know if it's going to be on this website or if I'm going to separate the two things. I haven't quite decided yet. But I'm working on a thing that I'm going to call Liberty Near Me, which is going to be about finding events, whether small or large, that are going on in the liberty movement. It's one of the things that I think this party's gotten away from. The social aspect of libertarianism is one of the big reasons people stay involved in it. And I think one of the hardest ways, it's very difficult to find events that are going on sometimes, find scheduling, things like that. So it'll work as an open source submission system. People can submit an event that they're doing, and then that can be added to a giant map. Somebody can go on the website that's looking for a location in a general area. They can type in their zip code, and it will show them events with dates that are happening within a certain distance from them in that zip code region. So, for instance, somebody in Florida could put in the zip code if they were in, say you're in Bay County, right? Say you're in Bay County. Let's say you're in Panama City, Florida. You put in the zip code, and it'll show you events that are happening over the next X amount of months in that area or near there, and then it'll show you how far you're going to have to go to find an event if there's not. Maybe it will have, one of the things I'm trying to work into it is on the liberty side of things, it can show you what political groups do events in that area. So if you want to try to put on an event yourself, you could contact that group. Just a social hub for people who want to go to events, because I think that's something that's important. And it's not just important for the big events, but the small ones as well, which I think get a lot tossed aside sometimes, we'll say. So yeah, there's a bunch of different projects on that I'm working on. A lot of that's going to be easier from Florida. Things like getting websites done, stuff like that, obviously. But I'd like to have the first stages of the Outlawed Thoughts website started before then, because I'm going to do some of that myself. I know some very basic website design, web design stuff, so I can try to get some of that done. But yeah, that's the plan as it stands right now. Ouch. Other than that, it's just figuring out the way that I plan on moving. That's very difficult. Financially, when you live a paycheck to paycheck, it's kind of difficult to swap over states immediately. Luckily, I think I figured out a few ways that I can do it, and it's just going to be definitely difficult, but will work. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into a story here while I wait for Kareem and everybody else. I'm going to send Kareem a question mark, and we will get working on things here. Shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat and everything. Thanks for chilling. We're going to start with this right here. We've got this video from California.
Shocking new video shows a man attack another man, an elderly man, then try to get away with his phone and wallet. Thankfully, though, a good Samaritan sprung into action to stop this. Fox 11's Travis Rice has the story.
Cause and effect in Hollywood. Surveillance video shows a homeless person sucker punch an elderly man, then get tackled by a business owner.
My face doesn't hurt as much now. It's been a week and a couple days, but it's a little puffy, I guess you could say.
Tim Ratcliffe ran down the wannabe thief after they took the victim's phone and wallet.
As I was coming around the corner, he turned and hit me once in the face, which, it is what it is. But I took him down and just kept him there till the police arrived.
The tackle right into the intersection of La Brea and Hollywood.
It was definitely a concern because I had literally just gone to the bank also, so all my money fell out of my pocket too, right in the middle of the street. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be interesting how this goes down.
Ratcliffe's girlfriend and another witness helped until cops arrived.
I saw the video. You sat on that guy for like 9 minutes.
Yes, it was, I'm not going to lie, the adrenaline was a lot at that point, and afterwards it was exhausting. I felt like I had worked out the next day for quite a bit.
The incident happening the same day as LAPD announced they're adding 200 officers to Hollywood Division for spiking crime.
Even one of the officers and I talked about it, and they're tired of it. A lot of people like myself are tired of this type of thing happening, and so we're seeing it more and more. People just, not putting up with it and taking it into their own hands, which I'm glad for, and I'd happily do it again.
In Hollywood, Travis Rice, Fox 11 News.
Seems to be a steady collection of individuals tired of getting their shit stolen and people hit in the face by homeless individuals like that. Been seeing a lot of clips from Florida, a lot of clips from California. It's a mental health problem. Let's read this. It's a mental health problem. Most of society's issues are legitimately mental health related. Yeah, I've begun to believe that to an extent. I also think there's a great deal of people who like to glom onto the social health thing, the mental health thing, and try to grift off of it and make money. I think a lot of people on the right and left do that, especially in the political field. So I'm hesitant to put all of our problems onto mental health, but I do think that it's a great deal. Especially when you look at shit like that. Obviously, this is the homelessness problem and things like that. Most of the homelessness problem, I will say, is a combination of mental health and addiction issues. Coming from the state of Alaska, I've seen a lot of that. So I think it's definitely something that needs to be looked at and hasn't been looked at very well. Because the communities don't want to deal with it because they're told the government will, but the government doesn't know how to deal with it. And realistically, the only one that's going to fix it is the community. It's one of those nice little catch-22s that the government likes to set up. I got another video for us here. This one was, I think, just a little bit hilarious. This is Biden signing the Inflation Reduction Act, a retarded thing in the first place. But I want you to just look at the prowess of our president, the physicality of him.
Here you go. It's now law.
Just saying. That's the guy that's in charge of the free world. Well, in charge. Yeah, that's something to behold. Mental health is an issue, and also the government and corporations try to weaponize it, like all legitimate problems. Classic Hegelian dialectic. Hegelian? I think that I'm saying that word right. I've never actually said that word out loud. I've only read it. I come across those quite a few times now with doing live shows. This is American history. Yeah. So, I only have one other video queued up for the show. I like to do the videos up front before the news stories, at least when I'm doing especially solo streams like this. Cream's running late. I sent him a question mark. We'll see if he shows up. If not, we're running solo tonight. I'm fine with that. I haven't done one of those in a while. News coverage solo shows, and it's always good. Although I feel like I ramble on a little too much, but sometimes that's what people like, I suppose. I know all the video people I watch on podcasting, I like the people who just kind of talk along with what they're doing. That's always how I've been online in general. But this is funny as shit.
Sector. Holy Christ. I just swallowed a bee. Holy Christ. I knew that little bugger. Oh. I'm good. He's down here buzzing around right now. It's coming from the health sector. Holy Christ. I just swallowed a bee.
It just gets funnier every time I watch it. That bee is a freedom fighter.
I'm good. He's down here buzzing around right now. Holy Christ. He's wedged in my throat. Sorry, guys. Little bugger got away in there. Okay. Man, he went right down the hatch. I know. This is a classic, okay?
It gets funnier every time I fucking watch that clip. But yeah, that bee was a freedom fighter. I'm gonna have to make an edit on that. The bee. I can. Uh, Mental health will be used as a means of disarming dissidents and taking away other rights, especially in the coming technocratic future where everything will be reliant upon the smart grid. Yeah, so there's things that I right in the beehole. Yeah. There's aspects I see of the technocratic side of things merging into the mental health, and that's exactly kind of what I'm talking about when I reference the grifting. One of the big things about like mental health and stuff to me is it's about a lot of people in the world right now are separated because of social media. So there's no physical interaction or real conversations happening. And people who aren't close with their family aren't getting that from their family either. So what happens often is those people don't have anybody to talk to. They go out to get a therapist. If the therapist they're being given is somebody on a fucking Zoom conference call or on a phone conversation or some other bullshit that they're trying to push, I don't think it's going to be as effective. And I don't think it's going to fix the mental health crisis. That's for sure. I think ultimately mental health isn't going to be fixed by things like therapy or psychiatry, things like that. It's going to be done through community building and just helping those people through a lot of the hard times they get into. A lot of times mental health is temporary to an aspect if it can be fixed, but there's no mechanism right now to fix any of it. Oh God, no. Oh God, no. All right, let's check out. This was an interesting one. I've been seeing a bunch of stuff, obviously, water and those issues going on, but I did see this. Feds cut Colorado River allocation to Arizona, Nevada as talks fail. Let me see if I can get rid of this one. There we go. States along the Colorado River have officially missed a federally imposed deadline to develop a new water sharing agreement. And the federal government on Tuesday announced new water allocation reduction, including nearly 25% to cuts to Arizona. The Colorado River Basin serves 7 states, an upper basin of Colorado, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming, and a lower one of Arizona, California, and Nevada. And its waters are allocated based on the terms of a century-old agreement from when there was substantially more water in the river. Meanwhile, the region is facing 20 years and counting drought, the worst in centuries. In June, the Interior Department gave the state 60 days to agree on a new allocation plan for an additional 15% reduction on top expected federal reductions before the federal government stepped in. That period expired Tuesday. In a news conference Tuesday, Federal Bureau of Reclamation's officials announced cuts to the yearly water allocation to Arizona and Nevada, as well as Mexico, which is also party to the compact. The Bureau will withhold about 21% of Arizona's yearly water allocation next year, as well as 8% of Nevada's. California will not see its allocation affected, and its immediate changes are planned for the upper basin. Everything blew up in negotiations last week. Kyle Roerink, executive director of the Great Basin Water Network, told The Hill in an interview, "We had some parties bringing a good chunk of water to the table. Others didn't even want to be bothered with coming to the table with anything meaningful," Roerink said. As a result of the Monday evening, the states had not reached an agreement as the nation's largest reservoirs rapidly deplete themselves. In January, Lake Mead will be at the level required for a Tier 2 shortage, 10,050 feet below sea level for the first time ever, according to federal officials. So, water. Shannon is up past her bedtime. Yes, that is true. Hi, Shannon. Yes, water is running out for Arizona, Nevada, all these fucking states surrounding California. Now, it would appear to me like it's because California is wheeling and dealing behind the scenes to get all of the water allocations over places like Nevada and Arizona. So, I thought this story is interesting because I think it's another thing that adds to the states getting mad at the federal government, because who wants somebody telling you how much fucking water you can use in the first place? Seems pretty stupid. So, I think it moves us in the right direction in those areas. I think you're going to see a lot of leftist states revolting against the people that are running them. For instance, in places like New York and Arizona and Nevada and these states that have leftist politicians running things, you will start to see more and more outpouring of Democrats getting mad at those individuals because they want their fucking water or they want their money and they're paying insane tax rates. California has already seen a lot of this, and I think it's going to see a lot more coming up, especially into the zone where we're running into the new presidency and things like that. So that leads us to another story that we had caught the back end of when we went live on the last show, but I want to talk a little bit more about raid on Trump, of course. This is the FBI barging into Mar-a-Lago to come take some supposedly unclassified, or classified rather, documents. So interesting. I don't know how impactful it is. I see everybody freaking out about this from the left to right. Here's my take, I suppose, at this point. It appears to me that it was a fishing expedition to try to find something that could be used against Trump. Tonight on Tim Pool's show, Jack Posobiec mentioned that he had been in contact with Trump's lawyer, who was present there at Mar-a-Lago. She said to him that the FBI made it seem like they wanted to leave it up to Trump to keep this quiet, right? Insinuating that, hey, you don't say anything about the fact that we raid you, we won't say anything about the fact that we raid you. I think that the feds thought Trump might go for that. If you look at it from this position, right, if the Trump gets raided by the feds, the feds know that they're doing a fishing expedition, but they go to Trump and say, hey, listen, you don't go public with this. No one knows you were raided, and that's no bad publicity on your end. And at the same time, we can do our fishing expedition to try to find and, jack up the media. And I don't trust Jack either. But I have heard this lawyer on a couple other interviews, like he said, say stuff similar. I don't trust the Trump lawyer either, to be honest. Jack is a fucking Fed. Yeah, there's lots of individuals like that I'm surprised hasn't been nuked online. One of the ones that I always mention to people is there's, one of them, which is some person that a lot of people love, is like people like Salty Cracker and things like that. I question how that guy can manage not to get nuked off YouTube. I'm skeptical of most of Tim Pool's Con Inc. carousel. Yeah, the only one that ended up being one of the ones that ended up being decent, who I listen to occasionally, who's on Ricada a lot, who split away from that. I can't remember his name for the life of me. Shannon probably knows. But he left the whole Adam Krigler. Yeah, he's all right. I see him on shows all the time, and he's decent. He left that whole Tim Pool Brigade thing, and from what he said, seemed kind of fucked up, that whole thing, which is, probably true. Listen, content houses don't work, and that's basically all Tim Pool is built, is a content house that looks like a media production company, and I don't ever think that's going to really work out long term, at least not unless you run it like he's probably trying to run it. Trump Mar-a-Lago raid. Judge schedules hearing on potentially unsealing FBI search records. So this is some bitching about releasing the search records. Trump, DOJ, FBI return passports, make comparison to common criminal. CBS, Norah O'Donnell sets off uproar with tweet about FBI not having Trump passports, which they did, they just gave them back. Former Trump advisor Mick Mulvaney says he hopes Trump does not run in 2024. I bet you all do. Trump schedules hearing on unsealing FBI Mar-a-Lago search records. Yeah. So this is just the same boring bullshit. And this is what I really think this whole FBI thing was about for the left. It was just to kick up It was just to kick up argumentation. It was just to kick up people bitching. Kareem says give him 5, so maybe 5 minutes he'll be on. It seems like a lot of excuses to just allow people to bitch and moan and make a whole media thing again. And I think the left thought that that media uproar was going to work against Trump, but it doesn't. It backfired because Trump immediately published everything and took credit for it, and that's what Trump does. So I think it backfired for the left, and I think it'll continue to backfire. And even if they charge him, I think it'll backfire. So I think they are trapped in that regard. It has been a hell of a last few weeks in the news cycle with the whole Fed uprising bullshit. And so it's sullied a lot of the other discussions going on, I guess. Not much talks on other things. How about that Ukraine thing? That used to be a thing that was going on. Remember when we were at... Remember when we were at war? It's funny how quick that shit goes out the window when they have something else to fucking pay attention to. First it was we have these gay pox, monkeypox, and now we have the Ukraine crisis, and pay attention to anything other than COVID again. Now we're way off of COVID, way off of Ukraine, and back on to Fed's involvement with Trump. It is 2016 again, people. We have gone back in motherfucking time. We're coming out of an Obama presidency with a shit economy in some places. We're back in 2016 again. It's fucking hilarious to watch happen from the onset, because I don't really care about either one of those sides of shit. Because I think ultimately the Republicans are wolves in sheep's clothing just as much as the Democrats are. Once the Republicans are in charge, Trump will do nothing, just like he did before. He might cut down some of the FBI, but grand scale of things, that means just about jack shit for the country. You can't really fix any of the problems that we have with things like that, and they're very well aware of that. I should be on another show tomorrow. One moment. Who is it? It is Pod Review. That's right. Tyler Yonke. I will be on the show that he does with Garbage Main, which will be fun. That's tomorrow. The Kill Liberty podcast. Thursday, not tomorrow, rather. Thursday, I will be on that. So if anybody wants to go see that, I will be there. Well, I was younger in 2016. Yeah, that's fair enough. Happy birthday to Shannon. Yesterday was her birthday. I think, right? I got that right. My days are all fucked up. I don't sleep, so it's hard to keep track. Yeah, so we can cover this next story here. We will jump into this. This is a Florida story. This is a story about Shannon. This was what Shannon was off doing on her birthday. Here, let's bring this story up. Florida woman arrested calling 911 over 1,200 times this year. This is great. Carla Jefferson was arrested twice for her harassing 911 phone calls, officials in Florida said. She looks charming. Oh shit. Okay. Let's read through this story. A Florida woman was arrested for making 12,512 phone calls to police precincts this year. Carla Jefferson, 51, harasses, belittles, swears at, argues with whoever picks up her incessant calls to the non-emergency lines of St. Petersburg Police Department and the Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, according to a court document. Jefferson calls account for 10% of incoming phone traffic to the St. Petersburg Department this year, according to officials. Holy fucking shit. Woofy Kevin from Home Alone. Former B-Day Shannon joined the LP. Well, you're not calling the Popo, Shannon. This girl was being great. She was calling in Bloom. Last month, Jefferson called the precinct 512 times in a 24-hour span. The calls were described in an affidavit: vulgar, threatening, or obscene. Florida suspect every incoming call made the police department communications center is answered. Call takers handle emergencies and hundreds of requests for help every day. We're talking to people who are scared, who are on the worst day of their life because they need police, said spokesperson Yolanda Fernandez reportedly told Fox 13. And on top of that, they have to deal with somebody who's just calling to harass them. Officials report Jefferson's ringtone rampage has been holding up the lines for legitimate callers. The content of Jefferson calls typically include extreme explicitives and sexual innuendos. Oh, God. She doesn't call to ask for any police services. She calls to harass, to cuss, and just degrade the call takers, Fernandez said. We're kind of at a situation now where her calls are interfering with people's ability to respond to regular residents who need police support. I'm sorry, but this is just fucking hilarious. That's great. Oh. I don't even call my parents that much. Yeah. No shit. Oh, yeah. I mean, 12,000 phone calls to one police precinct or whatever. That's fucking insane. But I want to know, like, she's not. She seems like all she was doing was making fun of him. And if that's the case, I'm all for this. This is the libertarian platform for 2024 is just to jam up all the police lines. So how about those IRS workers, huh? That's an interesting one. A little bit insane. I've been reading about that. 87,000 new workers. I think technically it's like 40-something thousand new workers. But some hilarious photos I saw Thomas Massey posting on Twitter, which I'm going to bring up. One moment. But he posted some photos of the people training on Twitter, which I thought was pretty fucking hilarious. That I will get shared on screen here. Yeah, here we are right there. Thomas Massey. These are not auditions for the next Police Academy sequel. This is an actual IRS recruitment program. Now, we're going to go through these pictures. And, I don't know. You judge me how scared you are of these individuals coming after your money. So, we're going to start here. All right, we've got what looks to be a 40-year-old stay-at-home mother whose kids finally left home. We have somebody's grandfather. We have a girl who describes herself on Instagram as quote-unquote thick. This man is gay, and that woman is too blurry to tell, but I'm assuming bipolar. This is me in 30 years over here. And this is the guy who lives next door to you who always smells like marijuana and patchouli oil. Yeah, so that's a quick descriptor here. We got next one. Okay, these are two people who they collected from the border near Texas and gave jobs to. This is another girl on Instagram who will describe herself as thick. This is a Ukrainian refugee who's escaped Ukraine. But this is probably my favorite one yet. This is my favorite one. Which is, this old guy is playing the role of somebody who's obviously stolen billions from the government. And so they have sent a choo-choo train line followed up by the steam engine himself. He's got four-wheel drive, himmy strong. Dude, I don't know what the fuck they think they're doing, but this is, I think, hilarious. This is fucking. If these are the people you're hiring in your army ranks of 87,000, bring them on. I'll take your Instagram thoughts and roller rink boys. Oh, have you seen Brian Stelter defending the IRS? No, I have not. I can look it up if it's going to be on YouTube. We can watch it. Might be funny to laugh along with. How does the microphone sound, if anybody can tell me in the chat, compared to the microphone that I was using previously? This one's much more expensive, and it is nicer, and it works much better with this arm, and I have like the whole Focusrite set up. I'm just not sure. I have to get a cloud lifter for this still and stuff, so just wondering. Compared to last time. Still rating on Kareem. He told me 5 minutes. I think he was a liar. Yeah, it's been 10 minutes, Kareem. I don't know. Well, we'll have to redo the thumbnail for today. We'll remove them in spite. That's how it's gonna work from now on out. If you're late or you don't show up for the show after you say you're going to, we're gonna remove you. Boom, done. Brian Stelter. Stelter defends IRS. Let's see. I gotta figure this out. Trying to find a clip of it. If it's not, there might not be any. Yeah, I haven't found the clip yet. Well, if somebody has the clip of Brian Stelter defending the IRS and you'd like to send it to me, you could DM it to me on Twitter or on any of the other socials or whatever. I did, but when I sort by most recent, I searched Brian Stelter defends IRS. And if I sort it by most recent or upload date on Twitter, it just gives me, or on YouTube, it gives me no results. So I'm not sure what's up. Let me just search Brian Stelter IRS. Let's see what comes up here. Brian Stelter IRS upload date. Yeah, I'm not finding it, but if somebody wants to send me a clip of it, I'll be more than happy to play it. Yeah. I'm finding a bunch of other clips of people talking about Brian Stelter, talking about it, but it is what it is. YouTube can be stupid, especially when you're trying to find an exact video. If you don't know exactly the title and all that details, it gets very difficult. Yes. Yeah. So I am doing some paperwork also over this next week for some different things that I'm looking at over in Florida. We could talk about that a little bit later, of course, but we'll go ahead and bring this up. The Liz Cheney elections, obviously that is going on right now, which has been interesting. I think a lot of people are waiting with bated breath to see her lose, of course. Voters decide primary in Wyoming and Alaska. Live updates from Fox News. So we can bring this up. Take a look at that. Voters decide primary elections in Wyoming and Alaska. Live updates. So Alaska won't have anything, I don't think. But for live updates on the election results from Wyoming and Alaska primary elections, click here. Is this going to make us watch a video or no? No, okay, cool. We can actually see some results then. Okay. Well, we will stop sharing this one and share this one instead. U.S. House, Wyoming, right now. Hagerman, I'm not sure how that one. Harriet Hageman is leading by a very fucking considerable margin within the GOP primary. So that's awesome. I would rather see anybody than Liz Cheney, to be perfectly honest. I think most people feel that way. Or in the district Democratic primary, doesn't really matter because the Democrat's not going to win. And governor for Wyoming looks like Gordon and Teresa Livingston. But okay, yeah, that wasn't really as exciting as I thought. But Liz Cheney's going to lose, which is always nice. That's always a good thing, right? You can always look forward to life when Liz Cheney's about to be ousted from her position. So, but yeah, it has been a boring week other than the Trump Fed shit, because it's a little bit difficult. It's one of those things that keeps happening with politics. Is it seems that it's not getting any better. That's for sure. It's just like the way people talking about it are changing, which is always weird. You said there's the clip. Which one? What? I'm confused. He said he had the clip and then there was no clip. So I'm confused. But it is what it is. Yeah. It's been a crazy one. You can go to bed, Shannon. Brian Stelter. Yeah, where is the Brian Stelter clip? Did I pass it or something? Did you see it on the screen? Am I on crack? I'm confused. I must have missed it. Anyway. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Brian Stelter would it wouldn't surprise me that Brian Stelter is a shithead on the IRS. If you have it, send it to me on Twitter. If you don't have me on Twitter, it's Liberty Layton. It's on the screen. You can just DM it to me. It'll make it easier. I can bring it up straight from there. YouTube's stupid. It's also like if you post it in the chat, it doesn't come through to me. YouTube cycles out the URLs from YouTube's system. It's stupid. I don't like that either because I wish I could have people submit videos. But basically, the only way you can have people submit videos during a stream like this would be through Super Chat, which kind of blows because, like, I don't want to do it that way. But I do have a Patreon set up now officially, and we're going to be adding stuff there. Eventually, I'm going to have a Patreon there where people can donate, and we'll have some bonus material and stuff that we'll do normal. The main reason I'm doing that is because I want, I want to be able to grow the channel, and being able to get donations before YouTube makes you do things like, being able to do that before YouTube gets you, like, involved in having to do the rigmarole process of splitting off content, all that kind of stuff. Here, I'm going to bring this up right now because we have the Brian Stelter clip now. He actually sent it to me, so we can bring this up now. And we will. One moment. I just have to find it. There we go. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, got it right here. So we can give a listen to this little clip here.
In their words, Oliver, you know we got short shrift this week. The House passing that historic climate bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. One of the components of the bill is a lot more funding for the IRS to hire tens of thousands of more IRS agents in order to try to make sure people are paying how much they're supposed to pay. What was that called on the right? It was called a terrifying overreach by the government. The reason I'm bringing it up is let's call it what it is. MAGA media's hatred of government is reaching a new high. When you have a combination of these FBI stories and the IRS getting a lot more funding, this is a new peak in terms of that anti-government sentiment. So it's no wonder that there's concern inside government about security and about threats.
Yeah, and I mean, the right's always advocated for small government, but in this case, it's, I think, particularly when you're talking about the FBI, it's not necessarily pro-small government approach they're taking. They just want to defund the whole thing and abolish it because it's probing a political figure that they happen to support. And I think what you have...
Yes, I'm sure that's why Republicans want to get rid of the tax system. It's because they're probing their political figures. I mean, sure, that might be the driving force behind it at first, but that has nothing to do with it. Historic climate justice inflation reduction bill. I know, fucking Jesus Christ. Yeah. Brian Stelter putting his entire foot in his ass and foot mouth, both. Hey, Kareem, how's it going? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear me?
Yep. I'll replay this clip, but this is Brian Stelter defending the IRS that we're talking about right here.
In their words, Oliver, you know what got short shrift this week? The House passing that historic climate bill, the Inflation Reduction Act. One of the components of the bill is a lot more funding for the IRS to hire tens of thousands of more IRS agents in order to try to make sure people are paying how much they're supposed to pay. What was that called on the right? It was called a terrifying overreach by the government. The reason I'm bringing it up is, let's just call it what it is. MAGA media's hatred of government is reaching a new high. When you have a combination of these FBI stories and the IRS getting a lot more funding, this is a new peak in terms of that anti-government sentiment. So it's no wonder that there's concern inside government about security and about threats.
Yeah, and I mean, the right's always advocated for small government, but in this case, it's, I think, particularly when you're talking about the FBI, it's not necessarily pro-small government approach they're taking. They just want to defund the whole thing and abolish it because it's probing a political figure that they happen to support. And I think what you have to point out repeatedly, and I know we have, is that when the FBI was investigating Hillary Clinton, they were very supportive of the FBI and of that investigation. And that was happening right before the 2016 election.
Yeah. So basically, it's just Stelter defending the IRS hiring a bunch of new people.
Yeah, well, Stelter is a corporate shill. Like, Stelter's going to defend anything. To me, Stelter is the mouthpiece of the establishment.
Love to see liberals taking the whole boot. Yeah, up many orifices, apparently.
Yeah, well, Brian Stelter likes getting it up everywhere. To me, Brian Stelter is a guy. Look, if we said we're going to go with a nuclear war with Russia, he'd be like, well, climate change might help out. Come on, we've got jobs at nuclear power plants. You don't want nuclear engineers that don't have jobs. Come on. The establishment wants it. I don't have the ability to think for myself, so I just agree with everything the establishment does. I think the big difference between libertarians and the rest of the political spectrum is we'll actually, like, if Dave Smith does something I don't agree with, like, oh, don't run a candidate for Florida. I'm like, okay, well, I disagree. I'm going to run a candidate. These people don't think. They're just like, the establishment said, so I do. Or, and I'll say it even inversely, like, okay, I don't agree with the Trump rate, but there's a lot of people in Trump's camp that just say, oh, Trump endorsed Oz. I vote for Oz because he said it.
Right.
He has an R next to his name, and that's how I do things. And I there's very few people who are like, well, you think, is this a bad idea? Like, hey, Stelter, if you have any back taxes, they'll come after you too. Oh, but you're part of the cabal, the fake news cabal. So maybe they won't. So that's all. I don't really care about Stelter. I know we've been going back and forth. I can get into my Al stuff whenever you want, or we can talk about anything else.
Yeah, I saw this video just 30 minutes ago before, I think either right before I started the stream or right as I was beginning it. So watch this. This is from John Talks. It's John Talks. He makes meme edits. He's one of the best on YouTube, but this is great.
A few moments later.
What happened right at the end?
Huh?
What happened right at the end?
Oh, it was two guys saying, "Ew, what the fuck?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you want to do a little YAL update, we can. That would be fun. We had a show, episode 24 got removed. So this is episode 24, part 2.
What,
But in
the
episode
one
24... No, we covered the Vegas stabbing. The one that happened in that vape shop. And a bunch of other people had covered that same clip and didn't get in any trouble with it, but apparently we did. So it is what it is.
Well, to me, they don't like anything that shows like, oh, okay, here's a different perspective than the mainstream narrative. So they get
they got me specifically on the what's it called? Fucking technically speaking, it was the violent content, which it is what it is,
Question.
Yeah.
Do you have your stuff backed up to Rumble and Odyssey? Because I need to get someone on Fiverr to do that for me. Because I know one day I'm gonna say something about something, and they're gonna go, okay. New.
Well, so here's the irritating thing, right? The process to put things on Odyssey was supposed to be simple. I was supposed to be able to just log on and click sync, but when I did that, it didn't do it.
It didn't work. It didn't work for me either.
Yeah, it didn't work for me either, and now I'm stuck because the stuff didn't transfer over. So I don't know what, I'm gonna have to message the support team and get them to fix it or something. But because otherwise I've got to manually upload each stream up and re-download it, and that's a whole shit show that I don't really want to do. But it is what it is if I have to. So we're talking about that. I might have to do that eventually, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. I will have kind of more info on that soon. I don't really know about other video platforms. I'm trying to find that out because I know there's Rumble and stuff like that. Rumble seems like it's very difficult to use, which is frustrating.
It's difficult to use, but it seems like it's difficult to monetize and get big on.
Yeah, it seems like it's going to be a challenge for me to get figured out.
That's the hard part. That's the hard part. It's not so much that I think these platforms cannot be utilized, but could you make anything substantial on them? I like what they're trying to do, but but the problem is YouTube this is problem with government monopolies. You got to go to YouTube. But YouTube, you're like, oh, I have the wrong opinion on the one thing. Oh, okay. Well, now they'll start fault. They hit me too. I think one time I talked about, well, I'm not going to mention it because then they'll hit me, but medical disinformation.
Oh yeah. Well, that's their favorite one, right?
Yeah. Hey, I cited the CDC. Did you? Yeah, but you cited them the wrong way. I'm like, how did I do it the wrong way? It's like, oh, you're not a neoliberal. Oh, okay. I'm glad.
Make sure not to cross the streams.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did design this cool little background thing for the stream now. So it says, when we have two people on here, it says Outlawed Thoughts and has a little subscribe in the corner and stuff. I need to design a bunch of more stuff for the channel and stuff like that I'm working on. But yeah, I think... so yeah, we had CD on and a few other people who were there who got to talk about their kind of time. There was some contention about the event itself, so I want you to give your kind of what happened at the event and what you did and what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy, and then I'll kind of talk about what they had said.
Yeah. Okay, I'd say overall, everybody was really cool. So shout out to Oliver. Shout out to Peyton, who gave me her card and talked and helped me out. Shout out to Ben Heckman, who's part of the Mises Caucus, who encouraged me to go down. Said like, why not give it a shot? And also shout out to the Yale people who kind of really, are ANCAPs or even people in Turning Point USA that maybe are not part of Mises, but are starting to get the works of Rothbard, be part of the Ron Paul Revolution. So, what I enjoyed is the hotel was really nice. I got lost a little bit.
Gaylord, right?
Gaylord, correct.
That was the one I went to when I was there. That was what they did. So I know all about that hotel.
Yeah, I got lost.
It's huge, man. It's a maze.
It is a maze, but it's fun. Hey, that's my last name. But yeah, I enjoyed meeting Brandon Cohen. Amazing time. Jack and Phil was awesome. Got to meet, Keith Knight. Got to meet a lot of people I didn't get to meet at Reno. Eric Gerhardt, who will be working at his campaigns going against Oz. That was really cool. The weather was nice. And I met Daniel Beatro, my other co-host. In fact, if you take out Luke Radowski and you, it's basically all the libertarians I really, really want to meet. I met everybody else. Other than sitting down and talking with Dr. Ron Paul, which that's going to take a little bit of work. But I think I can do it in the future. That being said, the speakers were all pretty good. I don't like that they removed Reed Cooley because I thought, okay, fine. For all Reed's faults with his relationship preferences, is that a nice way to say it?
What's their issue with Reed?
I don't know. I heard Reed.
Because I don't know. He follows me on Twitter. I follow him on Twitter.
I have to be real careful because me and libertarians have differing opinions. I do believe in defamation of character in an anarcho-capitalist society. He knows all about.
Did Reed? Okay, are they mad? Are some of those people mad because Reed said something, or because of something like?
I don't know. Some people said Reed said something. Some people said he did something. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. It's fine if you don't want to say it on here. I understand.
I don't know. To be fair, it's not. I don't want to say. I don't know. So if I say like Reed Cooley did this and he doesn't, to me that is something. If Reed watches this, he goes, oh, well, Kareem said I did this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. Well, I didn't do that, and then he's not. It's not going to look.
No, I honestly, I'd like to have him on the show in the future to maybe talk about things too. So because I do have contact with him.
I don't know what happened. I think
I know Reed just became he just got named something in the LP. He's doing like some new position with the party.
Yeah, I don't know. See,
but I've always got along with the guy, and I've always thought he was interesting. And his Twitter posts were always good. And he was one of the first people who had like followers who followed me online.
Yeah, I don't know. See, I don't know. I will tell you this. I think Reed Cooley's a good guy.
Speaking of which, I'm going to be working on getting Kokesh on the show.
Yeah, I got a pretty cool guest. I can just say who it is. But I'll say that at the end. But pretty radical guy actually, but I like his works. But I'll say this.
He knows all about the Gaylords.
He knows all about the Gaylords. I don't know what Reed. I don't like but the one speaker who was like Dan Crenshaw's whatever. She wasn't very inspiring.
Oh, I actually listened to that one and I thought it was abysmal.
Yeah, she was reading from a script and it just felt like no emotion. Like Ron Paul
was Kane there again this year?
Yes.
He was great last year. Glenn Jacobs' speech was fucking awesome last year.
Glenn Jacobs was great. Good. Glenn Jacobs was good. Tulsi was good.
I heard Tulsi was good.
Ron Paul is good. Most of them were good. The only one I didn't like is Amash is like, well, don't try secession.
I heard that, and it was not only did it lose the crowd, like he seemed to lose the crowd pretty easily.
Yeah.
But like it was weak from a libertarian perspective. Like as
Yeah.
a libertarian, it wasn't libertarian. Like the speech he
Well,
gave wasn't
I'll
libertarian
be
in my
fair.
opinion.
Let me be fair. Classical liberals would agree with him. I know a lot of people who would say Kareem. That, okay.
But pure classical liberal doesn't necessarily translate to libertarian. I think that's my point. Like,
I think it does. Look, here, a libertarian's against authoritarianism, but there are libertarians who are like, who do make a good argument. See, there's part of me that does agree, like, okay, it is a little bit hard because the Constitution is the best thing we've had, that had the best working model. I make the argument now, though, that it's not very effective anymore, and I want to try something else because where I see it going isn't good. I also make the argument that, well, how did we get the Constitution? We seceded from England. So saying secession's bad because of the Constitution kind of defeats the purpose of how we got it. That being said, I can understand someone sitting there and being, because not only homage, but like a lot of Trumpsters and constitutionalists, I'm like, I don't think this is working anymore. And they go from like being real nice to like, oh my God, Kareem, that's not true. If they just follow it, if they just follow the rules, we'd be all fine. I'm like,
yeah,
okay.
it's not really how it works anymore.
And I said, okay, 2 questions. If they, one, let's say they did follow it. Let's say you got a president like Rand Paul and Thomas Massey. Is the CIA going to follow it? Is the FBI going to follow it? Are they going to say, "Oh, I was wrong the whole time, man. It's just, I made some mistakes here. I'll follow it." Are all these people going to follow it? And my answer is no. They're probably not going to follow it.
Right.
I honestly think as well, even if you could get people to follow it in the short term, which, yeah, Jefferson would follow it, Madison would follow it, they wrote it. But eventually people fall out of, favor with it. They're like, I don't want to,
Right.
I have special interest groups that want to do this, or I'm a psychopath, or I just don't care. I mean, like, here's the thing. I really do not. I just don't think it's a great way to.
Yeah, I think when I look at the system right now, what Yale was when I went, it was a mix of libertarian and Republican, so I definitely ran into a lot of that. A lot of like Israel shills. That was a debate that I had there. I had a debate with a table of people who were all for supporting Israel, which I found through their little chat app. I think
To be fair, I did not find. To be fair, Dave, but here's a highlight. Dave Smith said Trump should go to jail for like basically what he's done in Yemen. And he didn't say that Biden or Obama were better. They said they should join him. And a lot of people, even guys with MAGA hats, are like, well, I kind of agree. I still want to make America great, but hey, if it's not. So that's actually a cool thing. I saw I met a lot of people who are on the libertarian leaning side. So it's like, okay, Trump's a bad guy. Okay, fine. It seems to me the general consensus is fine. If it's not Trump, it's not a big deal, but let's actually fix what's going on in the country. And that I can agree with. I'm not so opposed to saying, oh, well, just because I'm an ANCAP doesn't mean I can't love where I grew up or love, where I live or love my country. So that makes sense. Not in a nationalist way, but kind of, in a patriot way. Like, okay, well, I'm happy to be in America. I don't hate America, but that doesn't mean that I have to be like, okay, Trump said, Trump did this, Trump did that.
Right.
Or Dave Smith. So that was a highlight, Dave Smith saying that. Dr. Ron Paul's speech was on point, as always. Some things I didn't like was that speech, to her speech, the one you watch, was just,
yeah,
it didn't have any life to it. It was just kind of like, she put some stuff in the teleprompter. I can tell when someone's like being genuine or not. She seemed to be a nice lady, but I don't know anything about her. Other than that, that's about it. It was a lot of fun.
I would tend to agree with JC here. I think the MAGA crowd is mostly hopeless, to be honest. They have Stockholm syndrome. So I think a big part of the MAGA crowd is coming to the realization, and I think we see this happening bit by bit. Bit by bit, being members of the MAGA, kind of the Trump, always Trump community, are coming to the realization that he's basically using the exact same game that he did in 2016. Much like I talked earlier in the stream about us going back in time, right? His whole running now, leading up to 2024, will be the feds are after me. You have to elect me so I can clear the swamp and fire all of them, and I have to get the economy on track. Those are the three things that Trump ran on in 2016. The exact same issues. So he is just trying to run the exact same political program that he did in 2016 and 2020.
Yep.
I don't think it's going to be as successful as people think. I still think Trump is primed to win the presidency if he is the Republican nominee. But at this point, it's possible he isn't the Republican nominee. Because if he is being indicted by the feds and there's a bunch of bullshit, the Republicans might put somebody else up there. Maybe that person loses to Kamala Harris or whatever Democrat gets put up. But I think a good point was made last week, which was that, I can't remember who said it, but they said the Democrats can't afford not to pick Kamala Harris. And there's a good point there, which is that right now, the Democrats need the black vote. And if they choose a different person than Kamala, who is a black person, who is actively their VP and would be the person they would typically choose, if they go outside that field and don't choose her, then I don't know that they're going to get that vote, especially when that vote in a lot of areas was teetering back and forth to Trump and Republicans before. So there are certain things I think the Democrats are looking at, and they've put themselves in a corner, but I also think the Republicans have, because they basically have DeSantis or Trump to choose from, and that's it. And they don't even know that they have DeSantis to choose from. I mean, I'm sure they do at this point. I question whether DeSantis is going to run because I think they want Trump to be the nominee, because I think the establishment Democrats know that they have a better chance of winning with Trump than DeSantis, whether the polls say otherwise or not. I think Trump has a better shot than DeSantis because I think the Democrats will attempt to slander whichever Republican candidate it is in a way that they have never been slandered before. It's going to be brutal.
We'll have to see. If he gets, because it looks like if they took his passports, because I've been trying to get mine done.
Well, they gave his passports back, but they did take them.
Yeah. So
they're going to make it all about race and gender and brute force Kamala into the White House using the same most votes in history hubris. Yes, I agree with you 100%. That's exactly what they're primed to do. The Democrats don't really have a choice but to pick Kamala. That's going to be their nominee. And the reason that they're ramping up Biden, right? You saw Biden's going to run in 2024. That was all there just to get people paying attention to the fact that, well, you can't have Biden run because of his age. Well, the clear next choice in that case is going to be Kamala. And it'll be because Biden comes out and says, due to my age and health condition, I am not going to run for president. I'm going to have Kamala run. So the establishment Democrats will back Kamala Harris. And on top of that, the media can use that against Trump by saying Trump's old. Biden said he wasn't going to run because he's old. Why isn't Trump doing the same thing? Like, have a younger Republican be the person running. And so it makes sense for them.
Actually, Elon Musk did say that. Elon Musk said he doesn't want Trump because he's too old to be in charge of anything. And actually,
yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't necessarily disagree with him. He is too old to be in charge of the country. I think these people all should be younger. But to that degree, that's also because the older people won't give up power. I mean, that's how this works,
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
They're in there for life.
Yeah, like Nancy Pelosi is 85. Nancy Pelosi is as old as my grandparents were just,
Nancy Pelosi's 85 and her tits are 33. Biden winning in the most transparent election in history is just as believable as Kamala winning. Yeah. Pretty much that's what we're looking at. So back on to the Yal thing to a certain degree. I know you went to the event. I'll go over, I guess, some of the issues people had. Obviously, I don't know if you've listened to it. Most recent episode of Michael Heiss's podcast, or not Michael Heiss's, Michael Malice's podcast. He had Dave Smith on. They had a conversation. In that conversation, one of the things that was brought up was the person who runs Yao. The person who runs Yao and is like in charge of the whole thing ended up deciding, from my understanding, that the Mises Caucus, amongst the Florida Libertarian Party as well, I think, and some other people, were not allowed to have tables at the event.
Yes,
they claimed this was due to PAC support. I've called that into question on Twitter because I know there were tables there who do have PAC support.
That's correct.
So it seems that decision was not made for that. It was just made because they didn't want Mises Caucus tabling the event. Another group shortly thereafter also did the same thing. And so it kind of looks coordinated in my opinion. That's what I'll say. Hey, Magoo. Magoo's in the chat. They'll run Al Gore before they'll run Kamala for prez, and they probably should. They probably should. I agree with you, but I don't think you're right there. I don't think they can afford not to run Kamala at this
they could
point.
run
For
someone
that
like Matthew McConaughey. Or
no, I think what do you think it is going to look like to the majority of the low-income Democrats from any background other than white if they have the opportunity to put up a candidate who is Kamala Harris and they choose over her a white male actor? I just don't see them doing that. Like, they would lose 20% of their base vote immediately.
Okay.
Whether they were voting for Trump or Biden or anybody, it doesn't matter. I think they would lose a decent portion of their base vote. And I don't think they can afford to do that. So the only person they could replace Kamala Harris with is another black female. And it's like, who in the Democratic field is that? I mean, like, they would literally have to run AOC or somebody like that. And I don't see them running AOC. I just don't.
I don't either. I don't.
So I think Kamala is at this point my prediction.
It might be Kamala versus DeSantis or someone
Stacey
else.
Abrams is no go. No,
yeah, Stacey Abrams would not work.
I like that that would be hilarious because it would be the funniest fucking debate
Elizabeth
possible.
Warren? She's Indian.
Mm-hmm. She's about as brown as my ball sack.
She's 1% something. I don't know what it is.
I have more Ashkenazi Jew in my left pinky toe than she has native in her whole body. That's
What if the Democrats run?
I've been talking about this with people on Discord, and I just haven't come up with anybody who I think.
I got the perfect Democratic candidate for you. You know,
Justin Trudeau.
I mean, that'd be funny as heck, but no, I don't think that would work.
Oh, come on. That seems like something they do.
Justin Trudeau? How's that even
Yeah,
possible?
why not?
How's that even
well, you know, they'll just Jan 6 that shit.
No.
They'll storm the Iron Gates and they'll elect a Nazi. That's typically how the U.S. does things.
But you know who? I know this because one of my clients has me do videos for $5 a day. I don't like the subject matter. It's like $5 or $10 a day. I just read a script. So
Kareem is making 5-minute videos for Middle Eastern groups. It's like, I don't like the subject matter.
No, definitely not. It's, dude. Okay, dude from Pakistan. He's really cool. But I was reading some. I read the scripts. And here's the funny part. I don't know her politics, and she kind of seems annoying. But I have read that they want to run Meghan Markle, if you know who that is. I'm serious.
That's hilarious.
How do you think that would go? I don't know about any of her politics. I just know she's to the left.
What about Mayor Pete? He campaigns for free monkeypox vaccines for everybody. I have a monkeypox story. It was the last story on my list before you got on, so we'll cover this briefly.
Let's take it lost.
But if you've ever wanted more investigation into a monkeypox case, this would be the one, boys. First suspected case of human to dog monkeypox transmission reported in France. So let's play the "Were they fucking the dog" dice game.
Are you serious?
Sorry, people. Getting high. One moment. People with monkeypox should avoid contact with animals, including pet. People infected with monkeypox may have passed the virus onto their pet dog, scientists have recently reported. This potential case of human-to-dog transmission marks the first time that monkeypox infection has been observed in a dog, and the first time that an animal has been suspected of contracting monkeypox from an infected human. This is the first incident that we're learning about, and where there is human-to-animal transmission. Rosamund Lewis, the World Health Organization's lead on monkeypox, told the Washington Post on Monday. So on a number of levels, this is new information and is not surprising information. It's something that we've been on the watch for. Oh, they've been on the watch for dogs and pets in people's households getting monkeypox. Interesting. This is the first instance we're learning about where there is human-to-animal transmission. Human to animal. Interesting.
So,
it's key to note that at this point it's unknown whether the infected dog can pass monkeypox virus back to people, Lewis added. In the description, it's the first of its kind case published August 10th in the Journal of the Lancer.
So we're talking about bestiality.
Oh, no. Who said that? Who said that? You said bestiality. I didn't bring that into this. You did that.
I didn't. Up the story. I read this story.
I didn't say this story hasn't said anything about bestiality, Kareem. You brought that into this conversation. How dare you bigot?
Yeah. Because I put two. Anyway.
The recent case involved two men who were examined at the Pitié-Salpêtrière hospital in Paris, France, in early June, according to the Lancer report. The men are non-exclusive partners who live in the same household. Both had developed symptoms of monkeypox, including rashes, fatigue, headaches, and fever, about 6 days after having sex with other people. Since the start of the monkeypox outbreak, cases of infections have been heavily concentrated among men who have sex with men. But this trend doesn't indicate that the virus exclusively spreads through sexual activity, or that men who have sex with men are particularly prone to the disease. Really? Seemed like 95% last I checked. Odd. Most often, monkeypox spreads from person to person through direct contact with an infected person's rashes, scabs, or bodily fluids, including pus, mucus, and saliva.
So what they're trying to say is someone did a dog.
That news story is not trying to say they fucked their dog. I might be saying,
well, how does
somebody should be checking that dog?
I mean, okay, I ain't going to no fancy school or nothing, but you pass the disease a certain way. The dog had it. I ain't got no fancy degrees or nothing.
Oh, JC.
I can make connections sometimes.
Can we? Can you make connections with the dog, Kareem?
Those I actually don't like dogs or cats that much. I prefer my bird because he's loud and he's violent. He's cool. But
you like it rough.
Yeah, like you.
This whole story, man. I saw this hit the news a couple days ago, and I knew I was gonna cover it on the show, but fuck me. I'm like, no, come on, not the dogs.
Yeah,
no. That's a white woman thing. Leave it to white women to fuck their dogs. Don't.
Hey, wait, aren't Jews supposed to be good at like show business? That's like
I'm not that kind of Jew.
Oh, I'm sorry, you're not a cabal one.
I'm not one of the organized Jewry kinds.
You know what's funny though? Anyone could say it. They're like, "Oh, the NBA is predominantly African American." Like, yeah. And you could be like, "Oh yeah, Arabs do this." They're like, "Yeah. Oh, white people, they do this too." Oh yeah, we agree. Yeah. A certain demographic is in most of Hollywood. What? Oh my God.
Bigot.
It's like, whoa, what did I do? I mean, like, I looked at the credits of the movie. It's like Steinberg, and I'm like, what me to think?
No, here's the deal. I have family that were connected to that side of Hollywood, technically. I mean, like, I'm related to Gilda Radner, who was on SNL, original cast member.
Does Golda Meir come and hang out with you?
Well, no, just fucking Jesus. Next Fakertarians intro. Oh, Jesus Christ. One of the Fakertarian people lurks around my Twitter and occasionally comments on stuff. It's fucking hilarious.
What? He's like, come on.
No, it's one of the haters of Josh Smith. Likes to poke around. And I think it was ever since he had me on his show, the person's been going back and forth, so it's funny as shit, because they don't follow me. They'll just pop into my mentions every once in a while.
I'm funny.
Mm-hmm.
People like my Facebook.
Shout out to Josh Smith, by the way.
That the guy
Saw photos of his new studio. Photos of that going up. He's going to have like live in studio people all the time, which is cool. I'd love to go through that area and do a live show with Josh. That's in the future if I can drive through. That would be cool.
You know what? You'd be really breaking the cycle.
Well, I am trying to work out a way to move to Florida, and if I do it on my own, one of the ways I've thought about that is this kind of road trip of a sense. But I haven't quite decided how I would want to do that.
I posted Liz Cheney lost what a shot to the face, and I got like 5 likes already.
Yeah, Liz Cheney crashed and burned. That's game over.
I think we were expecting that.
Mm-hmm. Everybody knew that was going to happen. It's not a surprise or nothing.
But like, wasn't she 70 or 60 or something?
Yeah, something like 50. That.
Was she planning on? How long was she planning on staying?
I have no idea. I mean, she had to have known she wasn't going to get reelected. I mean, there was no way.
Yeah, I don't. But the only problem is I'm making the joke because I don't like her, because I don't like Dick Cheney, obviously, because I thought Dick Cheney, to be fair, even though Kamala Harris is annoying and she laughs and she does this and she's scum and she put people in jail and stuff, I get people hate Dick Cheney, hate her more than Dick Cheney, but I personally don't. I think he was the worst VP ever. He was smug. He was an asshole. He shot a guy. I mean, like, how do you just shoot someone? I was like,
Well, you'd be a politician and have money. That's how.
Yeah, I get it, but still, like,
yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
There are people who debate. There are people who debate, and I can't prove it. There are people who say that he was really in charge, not Bush, and he was the one who's like, yeah. It's like Halliburton, and it's just like, why is he so extent? Oh, look, Halliburton made a bunch of money. Like, just to me, he's the worst kind of like person on the planet.
No, he's evil as shit.
But he even writes, like, at least, I can't believe I'm defending this, but at least Kamala Harris knows she sucks, and she goes to Hillary and is like, "Oh, I suck, everybody." Dick Cheney's like, "I'm the man," and then he writes this book about like, oh, in my time, here's how I would have done it. I'm like, you did, I mean, I just don't feel that George Bush was really, competent and in charge of everything, and I feel like Dick Cheney was, and he's just the worst person ever.
Dick Cheney was running the show on behalf of Big Oil and the Mick. That's That's how my family has explained it to me, who were around
Yes.
back then, to kind of see it. And like my
He
grandmother
was an
worked for the
oligarch,
government.
basically. If you want to call a guy an oligarch or a big oil piece of crap, he was. He was the worst kind of person to me because he thinks he's the. I still think.
Well, I mean, it's funny, right, that Cheney, who's kind of an oil oligarch and runs all these companies and shit, would have been the VP under Bush, who's the son of oil tycoons.
Yeah, peak
right?
corporatism. And you know
Right.
what pisses me off even more? Rumsfeld is dead, so I can't say anything. It seems to me Condoleezza Rice kind of shies away, like, "Oh yeah, Russia invading is bad, isn't that bad?" She's like, "Yeah, it ain't too good." It's like kind of like I think Condoleezza Rice has it in the back of her head. George Bush, who's a piece of shit. At this point, I don't care if we get to Monta. It's because we
there's no monetization on the channel. You can say all
George
that.
Bush is a POS scumbag human. You know, people who served under him and got fooled. I'm sorry, but here's the thing: he's a terrible leader, and at least I don't think he's saying much about it. Like he's like, "Here, I made some drawings of people," which is insane to me. But George Bush and Dick Cheney are the only two who he's like, "Oh, I invaded Iraq, ha ha ha! Oh yeah, Putin's a bad guy." And then Dick Cheney's the same way. Him and Dick Cheney have this hubris, like, "Oh yeah, just, killed 1 million people, but not too bad, But I'm a real American hero. You should love me. I'm the man." I'm like, you're just a psychopath piece of crap. Who, in my opinion, if I were to be president, I'd just deport the Bushes and the Cheneys, all of them. Fuck them, and the DuPonts, and on the Rockefellers. Get out of here. You're all scumbags. I would actually rather take MS-13 than you. At least they're criminals because they got trained by the intelligence agencies. But yeah, I would deport all of them. Take them and the Obama.
We'll set up a trade deal, right? We'll swap you the Bushes and the remainders of the Cheneys and like
McCain's,
the Pelosi's. We'll take all of our politicians, basically. We'll round them up. And then for every one of those politicians, we'll trade ISIS one of their guys. We'll just bring them over. We'll bring them over. We'll drop them on the Senate House floor, and we'll see how long people let them last in power. Just let's roll the dice. Come on.
And you know what? And you know what else? Let's trade some Taiwanese official for Pelosi. The Taiwanese official might make more sense. And then she can go be an alcoholic in Taiwan. Oh, I have 2 fridges of ice cream. I know I'm locking everybody down. Do you do insider trading? Oh, no, never. How do you have 200 million fake
Insider? I've never even met her.
There's a guy who did that, Ryan Long. He's like, "Hey, we got all of the politicians you could do." He's like, "You couldn't for $100, 100 million." Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
You want to?
Is it Long? What is it?
It's Ryan Long. He's like, "I got all the insider trade," and then he's like, basically like,
I'm looking it up.
I'll pull it up for you. Ryan Long is hilarious. Like, dude, he's really good.
How to Get Rich with Nancy Pelosi's husband?
Yes. It is hilarious.
Oh, this is perfect. Yeah, we can watch this. We'll close out the show after this. Kind of wrap things. I'll have to cut Josh off of the thumbnail, little fucker. He must have fell asleep.
Yeah.
New to investing, you're probably sitting at home thinking, Paul, how did the Pelosi household constantly outperform the S&P 500 even when other firms were getting destroyed? How does your wife have a salary of $223K and a net worth of $120 million? But if you sign up for my masterclass now, I will teach you how to buy low and sell high by implementing my tried and tested formula of marrying Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. While other chumps are looking at fundamentals, I'm looking at fun bags, Nances, and fondling them for that sweet, sweet info. Some of these charlatans will tell you to focus on on value and not timing the market, while completely ignoring the value of marrying Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. Let's take NVIDIA for example. This graph could look daunting to some, but investing in NVIDIA can be as simple as waiting for your wife, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, to tell you a bill's going to pass, making them immensely profitable, and that's my personal green light that it's time to buy. Other investors are out there looking at charts and graphs when they should be looking at their wife, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi's classified document. You know, finance school is not going to teach you how to buy an option to purchase 25,000 shares of Microsoft less than 2 weeks before the Army announced a $22 billion contract to buy augmented reality headsets. But my masterclass will. And once you've made your money, I'll also teach you how to have your wife, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, deny.
No, absolutely not.
Good girl, Nance. It's a ride or die right there. Some of you might be thinking, yuck, I could never, she's gross. And while it is true that Nance and her guns are taken, our investment course will offer a detailed list of all Congresswomen's whereabouts at all times for you to take your pick and try to wed one. Congresswomen like Susan Bonadici, or you're going to be Ricci, or let Rosa DeLuro bring her the info. Virginia Fox. Hey, politics isn't for hot people. It's for people who want to get filthy friggin' rich. Kat Kamok. Tell me there's not a lot of inside info inside that body. Eddie Johnson. All right, okay, this is not great, but I promise you there's some doable ones. Marcy Kaptur. You couldn't, for 100 milli, you couldn't, that's not going to work for 100 milli. Listen, if you're fine with underperforming the market, just turn it off right now or you can forget we even spoke. Nanette Berrigan. You could get inside that for some inside info between me and you, right? Lauren Boebert. Although we do recommend Democrat Congresswomen, the media goes a little easier on them. Got in a little Dewey situation a little while back and Nance took care of that too. The bottom bitch. There's lots of snake oil salesmen out there like Warren Buffett trying to give you what they call traditional investment advice. Warren Buffett says invest in what you know and nothing more. With our methods of marrying Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi or someone similar, what you know will now include inside info affecting companies' profits. Warren says when you buy a stock, plan to hold it forever. Well, we plan to hold stocks till your wife, Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi, has information that will negatively affect the company. Trading stocks with my formula is like going to the casino and the dealer is Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi and you're married to her. And there's no congressional oversight. The question is, how bad do you want to get rich? Listen, before you go get rich using my patented formula, I gotta tell you about the sponsor of this video, Manscaped. Trim? We're more telling people about pube trimming. You gotta be groomed. You don't want to be...
That was fucking great. Yeah, that
basically. Or you're gonna be Ricci.
Ricci.
Like you couldn't for 100 million. You couldn't.
Oh shit. Okay. Well, we will go ahead and close out the show here. I think. Or you got anything else?
No.
Well, I guess we could briefly.
Get his investment course.
I guess we can close it out here. I will talk to you guys.
You have a new studio and 10 like Teslas. Oh, banging a congresswoman.
I will catch you guys in the next stream. I hope you guys enjoyed.